What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and we are back with another top 10 video for you guys today. And today we are taking a look at top 10 most underrated creatures in Ark. Now guys, once again, this is based off my personal preference, my personal opinion. If you guys have any changes or things that you'd like to see on the list, make sure to leave it down in the comments below. Also, feel free to join the Discord server as well, guys. And if you need a server hosted, check out the Nautilus link down in the description as well. But guys, without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. Alrighty guys, now coming in at number 10, we have the Raptor. In my opinion, the Raptor is one of the most underrated tamed creatures in all of Ark, mainly because nobody bothers going around taming it, just because they're such, not a pain in the ass, but they're just so annoying to try and tame. Because of that pounce ability, they have the ability to pretty much jump on you and like pin you to the ground. Along with that, they normally hunt in packs, so finding one singled out is a little bit on the harder side, unless of course you manage to kill most of them and trap the other ones. But once in a pack or even by themselves, these guys can easily wreck the face of most creatures. Now obviously you will need to pump a few levels into them to obviously get extra sort of boosts and make sure they don't die when they come face to face with a Rex and stuff like that. But these guys can be very good for early game PvP as well, because you do have that ability to pin players off of mounts. For example, if they're flying around on a Pteranodon, you can simply jump up, pin them to the ground and kill them. And if you are hunting in a pack, it is possible to do that and just rip the player to shreds. As well as that, if you have bumped up your Raptor in melee damage, you are more than likely going to be taking that player out. Unless of course they've got like Ascendant flak on, but even so after that, the rest of your Raptor pack should be able to finish them off. So guys, let's move on to number 9. Now guys, next up on the list at number 9, we have the Daynauticus. Now if you guys have seen a few of my other videos, these guys do make an appearance every now and again on the top 10s. But I think these guys are definitely underrated. And the main reason I think that they're underrated is because, once again, not many players use them. Because they don't have insanely good health, they don't have insanely good melee damage, they are a little bit squishy. But if leveled up correctly and bred correctly, these guys can do some amazing damage. I have tested it out, and these guys are capable of taking on the Valgyro bosses. That's right, you heard me correctly. A pack of these guys, it is possible to take on the Valgyro bosses. These guys deal so much damage. They get the alpha buff, as you can see, our one here has it. They do get the ability to jump onto creatures. You can see there with the, I don't know what it's like, alpha strike, I guess you could call it. I don't know if that's what you want to call it, but you can see there that this guy absolutely wrecks face. That, along with his bleed ability, allows him to deal some serious damage. And if you do pop his pack buff, which you can see down there is slowly ticking down, this guy can do some serious damage. Actually, you can see over there, there is a broodmother over there. Let's go teach her a lesson and show her that we mean business. Now, obviously, like I said, these guys are a little bit squishy, so you will need to level them up quite a bit. That is a Reaper King running around, okay. You will need to level them up quite a bit and get some good stats on them, but they definitely pay for themselves once you get this going on. So we're going to quickly head over to that broodmother and we'll show you just how much damage these guys can do. Now, this is only a pack of 3 Daynauticus, and you'll see here that we will deal some serious, something else is attacking this. That's not us. What is dealing 4,000 damage? Is that us dealing 1,000 damage? You can see there, we did just kill the broodmother. Our Daynauticus isn't even that strong, but because of the bleed effect, we deal insane amounts of damage. Now, obviously, you need to have your Daynauticus survive in this thing, but, you know, against the Megatherium, the Manticore, and the Dragon, you can definitely take them out with a group of Daynauticus. So guys, let's move on to the next one. Now guys, coming in at number 8, we have the Megatherium. Megatherium, hands down, is, in my opinion, one of the strongest creatures in all of Ark, mainly because of his bug buff ability. Wow, this is the first. I've never been stuck on a bunch of Titanobolas before. There we go. But you can see here, this guy gets a passive damage buff from insects by killing insects. Against insects, he deals an extra 25% damage. As well as that, when you actually kill insects, you then get the Bug Slayer buff, which you get, Insect Killer, which is in the top right hand corner, and that boosts his damage by 50% against all targets. So that is absolutely nuts. Now, the reason these guys are underrated is because they're normally overlooked for Theries, which, you know, fair enough. Theries definitely do have their uses. They are definitely good, but the Megatherium definitely deserves to be up there with the Thery. This guy is capable of taking out the broodmother with only a handful of them. Like, it's nuts. Because the Broodmother summons in all the Araneos, you can get the bug killer buff from those Araneos and then deal extra damage against the Broodmother, because the Broodmother does count as an insect as well. As well as that, these guys are hands down one of the best thatch gatherers, one of the best berry and fiber maybe not so much berry, but definitely one of the best fiber gatherers, and they do gather a decent amount of wood as well. And the king of chitin, these guys definitely are. Look at how much chitin we just got from those dudes. If you guys have seen our Valgyro video, we pretty much go out and grab like 20,000 chitin in like 5 minutes. It is nuts. Look at just how much chitin we've just got just from killing those 4 insects. We've actually slot capped our Megatherium, which is pretty incredible. So these guys are definitely the kings of gathering chitin. As well as that, their stats are really decent. Like this guy was a 150. He's obviously got an extra bit of weight there, but buff these guys melee damage up and they will deal insane amounts of damage. It is absolutely crazy, and these guys do have a rather large health pool as well, so I definitely recommend getting your hands on a Megatherium, and that is why they are on the list of underrated dinos. Now guys, coming in at number 7, we have the Dire Bear. The Dire Bear is once again one of those underrated creatures that doesn't really see too much action, when in fact it really should, because it is an absolute unit. These guys are crazy strong, they've got crazy good weight, they've got crazy good speed, unless of course you get webbed by a spider, and their damage output is absolutely insane. Now you can currently see here we are swarmed by a ton of insects, and our Dire Bear is handling them all with relative ease. Mind you, this guy has no levels pumped into him whatsoever, and you can see here we are dealing all this damage to all these insects. Now we currently, I don't think we're actually managing to hit those because they're not in our radius. There we go. You can see there, and we'll be able to take all these guys out. Okay, maybe we bit off more than we can chew with our Dire Bear. Oh, we don't have creative mode activated, but these guys are absolutely insane, I guarantee you. Now, as well as that, their honey gathering ability is obviously really good, but their movement speed is what really sets them apart as well, because they obviously gain more movement speed the more they move, and for longer amounts of time they will obviously reach a max limit. And you can see that we got killed by Tynabole, which is always great. So like I was saying, these guys are great. They're great all-around mounts. They're versatile, they can carry plenty of items for you, they can transport you to other bases, because look at the max speed. Why does nothing just want to go right? There we go, that fixes things. So these guys are really good because, like I said, their max speed reaches out at a certain cap. Once they hit that cap, nothing can stop them unless, of course, they run into a boulder or something like that. Now, as well as that, they can attack while in this mode. However, they can only use their bite attack. They can't use their paw attack, as that will cause them to pretty much stop right in that position. So you don't want to really use that. But these guys are really tanky. You can see here their health is decent for what they are. Their melee damage is also really solid, but their weight is one of the things that really sets them apart. They're really good. As well as that, their stamina usage is really well, and they do gather berries, fiber, and meat as well. So they are really good for that purpose as well. So if you're looking for like an all-round versatile mount, definitely go with these guys. You do obviously have the Thylacolea as well, which I would definitely recommend as well as a Dire Bear. It's all up to your personal preference. I really like these guys because, well, they're just cuddly as heck and they're bears. Who doesn't want a bear? Now guys, coming in at number 6, we have Aloes. These guys are heavily underrated because a lot of the time they are overlooked for Rexes and Spinos and stuff like that, which, don't get me wrong, they are great tames, but these guys definitely have their own little niche role, and they are really great for those that are just looking for something different. These guys do bleed attacks in a pack. You can see here our one that we are currently riding on does have an alpha buff, and this allows him to deal extra damage, as well as the bleed attack that you guys can see on this Rhino. Now this does slow down and deal extra damage over time to the tames, and as well as that, these guys' attack speed is really good. Like, it's really solid. The only thing that I think they are lacking is a little bit of movement speed. I feel like they should be a little bit faster for what they are. But you can see there the pack leader at the top is buffing this guy, and that allows him to deal extra damage. And look at how quick these guys attack. Now, I have seen Aloes take on the bosses before as well, and they are definitely a good choice if you're looking for something a little bit different. Now, the bleed attack does not scale on the bosses as far as I'm aware from what I've seen and what I've tested with them, but these guys still are really good. You can see here, base health of 6,241, 150 tame. We don't know what its wild stats are like, but that is an alright stat. You can get these guys up to about 8k health on hatch, which is really good. I'm pretty sure a guy on our server, one of the guys on our servers, has his Aloes hatching at like 12k health, I'm pretty sure. So these guys definitely can fill that role between Rex and Spino. And I would definitely recommend getting your hands on some of these guys. These guys are definitely really fun to run around on the map with and just biting into everything as a pack. So guys, let's move on to the next dino on the list. Now guys, coming in at number 5, we have the Mosechops. Now, the Mosechops has the ability to apparently walk underwater. So the Mosechops is one of the most underrated creatures, and he's probably one of my go-to tames when I first start out on a new Ark server. Mainly because he is slightly easy to tame if you get lucky with them, because they do have the ability to ask for like raw prime fish meat, raw prime meat, and starting off it's a little bit harder to come by that stuff. But once you get this guy, you can pretty much use him to gather a ton of berries, a ton of resources like organic polymer, and he's just one of, in my opinion, the best creatures to gather organic polymer with. Now, for this guy to get the bonus from his harvesting levels, and for him to actually harvest this stuff properly, you need to have him on the attack your target setting. So you can see there, aggression level is attacking your target. Otherwise, this guy will run away and he won't help you out in any way possible. So make sure you're not riding him, but pretty much what you want to do is you want to make sure that whatever it is that you're attacking, you one-shot it. Otherwise, he will not harvest it. Now, are you going to harvest it, buddy? You literally just did it for us. Come on, we're going to look like an idiot now. Well, now he's not going to do it, so let's just reset his behavior right now, because he literally did it a second ago. There's another Kairuko over here. Let's see if he'll eat this one. Now, these guys are a little bit funny sometimes. I don't know, maybe it's just my luck, but you've got to make sure. There you go. Now he's doing it. There we go. So you see there, he just harvested that penguin. Now, his inventory was empty before, and just like that, we have managed to gather 31 organic polymer. Now, babies don't provide as much as adults in the case of Kairukus. You coming over here, big guy? So this guy is really good. Now, you can use him to gather prime fish meat, raw prime meat, sap, leech blood, and I believe there is rare mushrooms and rare flowers as well as obviously the organic polymer. But this guy is great because you can set up a farm for these guys and harvest so much organic polymer. Now guys, coming in at number 4, we have the Baryonyx. The Baryonyx is your dual purpose mount. He can go in water, he can go on land, he deals a ton of damage in either place that he's in, and these guys are crazy. Now in water, he does have the ability to do a stun attack, which actually stuns whatever is in the water. You can see here this poor little Megaloceros is about to die from our Baryonyx because of his stun attack. Now these guys do pack a punch wherever they go, and they are capable of fighting underwater, and with a little bit of leveling into health and melee damage, these guys can be your all-round great companion. As well as that, they have the ability to harvest prey on the final strike. So for example, when you actually kill something, you harvest it at the same time, if that makes sense. Now it can be pretty useful, especially against like the jellyfish and stuff like that, because you can stun them and just go up to them and eat them, grab their biotoxins, and you'll be sweet. Now the Baryonyx can pretty much stun everything its own size, so everything up to like megalodons it is possible to stun on the back of a Baryonyx, and this guy is great. You can take him into water, he is fast, he doesn't have oxygen in the water, and his stamina does deplete, but you can hop off him to remedy that. As long as you're not moving though, he will not use stamina as well, which is an extra bonus. But these guys are just great. They'll protect you from pretty much everything in the water, unless of course you go up against mosasaurs, in which case you're going to struggle a little bit. But even on land, these guys do pack a punch. They have the ability to jump as well, so they're a great all-around, all-terrain mount. You can see there we have the ability to jump. We'll get a little bit higher ground. There we go. You can see there they can jump as well, and their saddles are also readily available in supply drops like higher level blueprints. I've found quite a few Baryonyx saddle blueprints. So guys, I would definitely recommend getting yourselves a Baryonyx, and these guys definitely deserve the number 4 spot of underrated creatures. Now guys, coming in at number 3, we have the Procoptodon, otherwise known as the Kangaroo. This guy I have found rarely ever sees the limelight, and oh, we just jumped off the edge of the cliff. This is bad. And while we're just here, we're going to talk about him. This guy is hands down one of the most underrated creatures. You rarely ever see him used, but he has a plethora of abilities that make him really useful for everyday life in Ark. He has the ability to transport baby tames in his pouch, for example, like freshly hatched ones, as well as another player in his pouch, and you can actually go up and raid bases with this guy, because the player in the pouch does not get targeted as long as there is one riding the Procoptodon. I have tested it for myself and it has worked. So you can potentially run up to a base, have your mate in the pouch, strap some C4 onto the enemy base you're trying to raid, and blow it up. Unless, of course, you get killed, so do be careful if you try to do it like that. As well as that, this guy does have a pretty large weight on him as well, which is obviously helpful for traveling across the map. And he has the ability to pretty much scale the map. We'll show that to you real quick once we get out of the water, but he has the ability to jump, and he has the very similar ability to target jump like the Carcanos. So like I was saying, he has the ability to jump like the Carcanos. You can see the little crosshairs that appear, and this enables you to target jump where you want to go. As well as that, he does have a normal jump, which you can just tap spacebar or the jump button to use. But this guy can easily scale the maps of Ark if you bump up his movement speed and just let him rip. Because of his jump ability and his insane speed, he is able to leap great distance. He does take reduced fall damage as well. I believe he still does take fall damage. It is reduced though, like I said. Let me just double check here real quick. I'm pretty sure he does take fall damage. Because as far as I'm aware, the only creature that doesn't take fall damage, I believe, is the Rock Drake and the Daynauticus. We'll double check. No, let's find out if he takes fall damage. Yeah, so he does still take fall damage, which is a bit of a shame and kind of dumb. Now, as well as that, he has the ability to gather berries and whatnot, but one of my favorite abilities of the Procoptodon is his kick attack. Now, his kick attack enables him to pretty much just knock things backwards. You can see even against a Diplodocus, he's able to knock him back. Now, the Diplodocus is obviously able to knock us a lot further back, but he can utilize this on Raptors and Pteranodons, preventing the Raptor from actually knocking you off and enabling you to kill the bloody bastard. Unless, of course, you get nabbed off like that. So the Procoptodon comes in at number 3 on the list. Now, guys, coming in at number 2, we have the Spino. If you guys have been a fan of the channel, you know that I love my Spinos, and these guys are still heavily underrated. I find that people definitely sub them out over Rexes, and it's a shame because the Spinos definitely are more utilitarious, if that's a word, than a Rex. You know, they get the passive water buff bonus that they get from standing in water or being in water. You can see at the top there we get the hydrated buff. That's what it's called, hydrated. So this lasts for a total of 30 seconds while you're out of the water as well. But if you do find a small puddle, you can utilize that to get the buff once again. And these guys hit like trucks. You can see they're 233 damage, and they have the ability to go bipedal and quadrupedal form as well, with the bipedal form enabling them to pretty much pivot on the spot. So if you get an attack, you can simply turn your Spino around and you'll just swipe at it. The Rexes have to take a very long roundabout turn to come around and face whatever it is that is attacking them. Now, as well as that, they do gain increased movement speed from the hydrated buff, and their quadrupedal form is mainly used for traveling. So these guys definitely have their uses, and I would definitely recommend getting yourselves a Spino if you don't have one already. But in my opinion, these guys are definitely underrated, and that is why they get the number 2 spot. So guys, let's move on to number 1. Now guys, coming in at number 1, we have the Mantis. I really do think the Mantis is the most underrated creature in Ark, mainly due to, I think it's mainly because people don't go about taming them just because they're more of an annoyance to tame, but these guys are absolutely insane. So the gimmick with the Mantises is that you can pretty much equip tools into their hand slot, and this enables them to use the tools like you would normally use them. Now you can currently see here we've got 2 swords equipped. I mean, technically it's 1 sword, but it puts 2 into his hands for some reason. I don't know why, but I mean, I'm not complaining. Now this enables the Mantis to deal even more damage than what he is capable of doing. Now, as well as that, these tools do stack with the Mantis's abilities and stats. So for example, you can see there we just did the secondary attack, which enables us to do the leap, and we dealt 462 damage to that poor dodo. We currently have Ascendant Swords on at 277, and the good thing about this is that the Mantis's melee damage also scales with the weaponry. Now, obviously these guys don't have the greatest of weight stats and the greatest of health stats, but they definitely have their uses. For example, on Extinction, once you've successfully completed an element node, you can actually bring a Mantis along now with transfers and actually harvest up the element node and get more than you would by you harvesting it yourself. For example, if you equipped hatchets onto him, you actually gain a lot more element dust as well as element from the node itself. Now, you can also use these guys to go about gathering thatch, go about gathering anything that requires a tool. You can see here we just grabbed 800 thatch from swiping at a single tree. these guys are nuts. But if you have an RG following you around and you just dump everything onto the RG, you can easily grab a 1,000's worth of resources in a couple of minutes. It is absolutely crazy, and I would definitely recommend getting yourselves a Mantis if you don't already have one. These guys are absolutely awesome. Now, there is a mod for those of you that play on PC that actually increase this guy's uses, and that is Kraken's Better Dinos. Check it out as well because it increases the Mantis's tool usage as well if you guys are keen on that. But guys, that's going to wrap up the video today. So let me know what you thought of the video down below. Let me know if there's any changes you'd make, anything you'd see added to the list. But other than that, guys, thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe down below for more. But other than that, guys, I will catch you in the next one.